All right, class, we're going to look at world exploration in the 1500s. We're going to focus mainly on Europe, but basically the Europeans wanted to get to China and to India. Now, they wanted to go to these places because the Chinese and the Indians had trading goods that were very expensive, highly desired, silk, spices like cinnamon and pepper. That way the food wouldn't be so bland. Did I spell cinnamon right? No, I don't think I did, so I'm going to erase it. Cinnamon, pepper, things like that. The only problem that the Europeans were having is that Italy basically controlled the Silk Road because they're the way that you could get there by land. Also, the Mongols, their empire had defeated, and all the people living in this surrounding area started to charge higher taxes. So pretty soon, even the Italians are having trouble getting this stuff. So everybody else realized, well, let's just go west. And they knew the world was a globe. They knew it wasn't flat. They just had tried to figure out a way to get there. Now, there were four main countries we're going to look at: Portugal, Spain, France, and England. Over time, the French, the Spanish, the English, and the Portuguese became the most powerful nations in the world because of this exploration. In fact, you can even see the effects of these countries today. Take England, for example. We live in the United States. Our major language, our official language, is English because the English, right here, explored the United States. Part of Canada, up here in Quebec, modern-day Canada, their official language is French because the French settled this area. Now, the English eventually take over Canada and they get this part here. But that part in Canada still speaks French today. And up here, Alaska and Western Canada speaks English. Now, Spain controlled pretty much most of Mexico, Central America, and South America. So they speak Spanish today. And then the Portuguese controlled this area, Brazil, because they're the ones who discovered it. So Portuguese is still spoken in Brazil today. So we can even see the effects of these areas now. And let's go ahead. Portugal. Oops, let's erase that. Portugal is part of the Iberian Peninsula. This is the Iberian Peninsula right there. And this piece right here roughly is Portugal. And this piece right here is Spain. Okay. France would be right here, roughly. Now, they had to have new technology. It was a combination of three different cultures. First of all, we had the Chinese compass. All right, when the compass came across the Silk Road and reached Europe, they adapted it, started using it as well. The Arabic astrolabe was also used. Both of these devices helped explorers not get lost. If you get lost down the middle of the ocean, there's no fresh water, you're going to die. So they made sure that they had those technologies. Now, something created by the Spanish and Portuguese was the caravel. This was a type of ship that could sail very quickly, less chance of sinking. So their sails allowed them to sail against the wind, so they wouldn't get stuck if there was a bad wind. All three of these helped the Europeans to explore the world. So before we talk about European explorers, let's look back at Zheng He. Zheng He was a Chinese explorer, so he's from China, and he explored pretty much Indonesia. He went into India, Arabia, and the eastern coast of Africa, and made like 7 voyages. He did this about 100 years before Columbus. His ship, called a junk, was a large ocean-going vessel. But the Ming Emperor, remember this is during the Ming Dynasty, decided that there should be no more voyages of exploration. He didn't want outside influences come in and change the Chinese. They just got rid of the Mongols. They didn't want anybody else telling them how to do things. So that is why the Chinese did not really get involved with this. Now, Bartolomeu Dias was from Portugal, and he decided that he was going to try to get to India, but by going east. So he sailed around Africa. And when he got to the tip of Africa, he found the Cape of Good Hope. Now, the Cape of Good Hope, the Cape is basically just the tip of a peninsula. And the Cape of Good Hope told him that, hey, yeah, there is a way to get to India. Now, this voyage, Diaz went ahead and went back home. He didn't continue to go to India. That happens with another guy. Christopher Columbus, we all know about him. You learned about him in elementary school, worked for Spain, and he had 4 voyages. And on his voyage, he basically sailed and he found Cuba, the Bahamas, modern day Haiti. His ships, the Nina and the Pinta, both caravels. His third ship, the Santa Maria, was a different type of ship. But he had a total of 4 different voyages. I don't know what the other 3 are. All I know is the one you really have to worry about is the first one. And he went back and he told Spain about his journey. And that helped bring Spain to dominate North and South America for a couple hundred years. All right, I'm going to stop the video here, and then I will pick up with our second video with the rest of our explorers.